Hi everyone, it's Sunday, November 29th, time for another HideNet Week in Review. I'm Vera Dordick. It was a relatively quiet week for the Hide market as a whole. Many regions around the world are dealing with spikes in COVID infections, as they likely will be for some time yet. It was also a holiday-shortened week in the United States because of Thanksgiving on Thursday. Consequently, much of the trade was on vacation the latter part of the week, and there really weren't many developments. Prices remained steady, but that upward creep of prices that we've seen over the past couple of months seems to be coming to a halt. That said, sellers still have good positions, and this week's lower slaughter will definitely help keep them that way, at least in the short term. Heavy Texas steers remained unchanged this week at a high of $30 for seasonal 62-64 pound selections. Slaughter for the week through Saturday, November 28th was 564,000, and that's down 15% from last week. Combined export sales were better than we would have expected, with the total coming in at 544,500, and that's up over last week by 53%. Combined shipments were down by 32% at 412,100, and that really is to be expected because of all the shipping issues, with steamship lines opting to send containers back to Asia empty rather than load them up with any ag products here in the United States. Turning to Europe, editor Andrea Guolo reports that although tanneries have work, in some cases they're having difficulties completing that work because of the rising rates of illness among employees. That said, Europe's countries are all taking varied approaches to keep the pandemic in check, especially during the holiday season. With regard to English 36 plus ox, prices remain stable and demand is good from the furniture sector, but there's really not any room to push the levels higher. Sellers are getting 90 cents sterling per kilo, and in Ireland it's pretty much the same case with sales at 85 cents in euros per kilo. European bulls are seeing a reassuring trend, which is keeping most origins steady. The one glaring exception is France, where there have been some unexpected price drops, so you want to make sure you check that part of the report. Selections from southern Germany remain at €1.20 per kilo. With regard to cows, origins are all overall experiencing stable prices, so that's good. Northern German cows, for example, were sold in volume at 55 cents in euros. And looking at the veal skin market, it continues to have issues with demand down by a good percentage, but also slaughter is equally challenged. In his analysis this week, Andrea takes a detailed look at the current situation with purchasing of hides and skins, and he also gives us the all-important forecast for the rest of the year. And last but not least, we check in on Brazil, where editor Ronald Guiel says that raw material prices stabilized this week, with fresh hides selling for $1.09 per kilo. Slaughter is still low, which supports these higher fresh hide prices. With regard to TR1, that is still holding firmly onto steady levels, selling for 78 cents per square foot in US dollars. In other news from Brazil, Asintical issued its projections for footwear and the latest data on leather production, and Marfrig's CEO has denied that meat it exported to China was contaminated with COVID-19. Elsewhere in Latin America, Argentina's steer slaughter is the highest since 2012, and Curtiembra Arlay is the country's first ISO 5001 certified tannery. In Colombia, sales of footwear and leather goods saw a huge rise on the VAT-free promotion day, and in Mexico, Leon's mayor highlighted resources for the leather footwear sector when he spoke to open up the tannery sector's annual meeting. So that's all the news we have for today, and until next week, good night from HideNet.